to get it right. Trying to find some balance in my life. You will make it in time.
Welcome to Becoming Me While Raising You, sponsored by attorney Kelly Walling of Caperton Walling Law. This is the show where we learn about how to harmonize our business life with peaceful parenting from moms that are doing just that. I'm your host, Kim Minch, a certified parent coach and the founder of Real Life Parent Guide. I help mothers daily trying to find that work-life balance and gain confidence in their parenting. I'm also blessed to be the mother of 4 sons and a daughter whom I've always felt were my greatest teachers about life. On today's episode, I'd like to introduce you to Laura Black. Laura is a Flower Mound entrepreneur and the owner of CLINK Wine Bar and Bites in Lakeside in Flower Mound, which just had its soft opening over the weekend, and I was fortunate to attend. Laura and her husband Greg are also busy with 2 kids, Arabella, who's 5, and Liam, who's 3. Laura, welcome to Becoming Me While Raising You.
Thank you for having me, Kim. I'm so glad to be here.
You're so welcome. And I thought we would start out by having you share, first of all, what is a somm? And tell us about your journey to open CLINK.
Sure. So a somm is somebody who's studied some wine, basically a wine steward. So we're there to make your experience better, to hopefully help guide you in selecting wines if you'd like that. And if not, just letting us pour you that great glass of wine that you want. So
that sounds amazing. And so, okay, so you're just opening CLINK now.
Yes.
Tell us about how, what the process of that is like in terms of, obstacles that you might have had to overcome and what, about your background and what brought you to even deciding to open, a wine bar in Flower Mound.
Yeah. So I grew up working in restaurants and bars. I started at 15 working in restaurants. That's how I put myself through college. After college, I quickly realized that I'd actually made a lot more in restaurants than I did in my first real job with my college degree. So I started moonlighting in a restaurant again and met a gentleman who worked on the supplier side of the business. So selling the companies that produce different spirits and wines brands. He had a position open, asked me if I was interested in applying. I did, and then I worked for him in Tennessee on really iconic brands like Jack Daniel's Woodford Reserve for about 7 years before we moved to Texas for me to take a promotion. Then I started working on the wine brands for that company, fell in love with wine over that journey of about 13 years, and started taking more and more classes and kept telling people, I want to own a wine bar, I want to own a wine bar. I think people got tired of hearing me say that, so they said, go do it. So we got really serious about a business plan in 2019. We found our space. We were getting ready to start construction in early 2020, and we all know what happened in early 2020. The world took a nosedive with COVID, so we hit the brakes on that and kind of waited to see what was going to happen. Picked up with some things late fall and then started construction in December, about a week before Christmas. And then in January, February, things were going well. We had the terrible snow here in Texas. That affected the supply chain. So ripple effect through everything, kind of delayed so many things. We've struggled getting materials, anything coming from Europe or anywhere else. Supply chain has just been rocked by COVID, and now that Texas businesses are green light go, everybody out there is trying to get materials. So
that makes sense. And I have to tell you, the bold Chardonnay is amazing. Thank you for choosing that one.
Yes.
And I would highly recommend a number of the things on the menu. I really did enjoy being there this weekend. It sounds to me like one of your greatest obstacles may have been all of the setbacks in terms of the 2020 in general, and then this year's early snow issue in Texas that, stop the supply of certain things. Would you say that's your biggest obstacle?
Yeah, I think those have been big obstacles for sure. Going into this, you just don't know what to expect, and it's such a humbling experience to be reliant on so many other people to do their pieces to get to opening your doors. So I'm not a very patient person, so this is the universe's way of teaching me some patience, I think. So yeah, for sure, biggest obstacle is just that I'm not in control. Things happen when they're supposed to happen, and supply chain it's going to take a little while now that the world is opening up for things to bounce back. So being flexible and adaptable is a skill, and we're learning it in spades right now. So,
absolutely, I totally get it. So, what lights you up about opening CLINK? About what is it that really your mission and your goal is with this place?
Yeah. Well, there's a couple things. I thought Flower Mound was really missing something of this concept. So to me, wine is about family and friends and community. And some of my best memories, favorite memories are with people around sharing a glass of wine. And it doesn't even have to be a super expensive glass of wine, but just that relationship that wine can build. So I really wanted to create this space to showcase great wines, but in a really friendly and approachable environment where people felt really welcomed. They could come and hang out with us. They could celebrate big and small moments, or just come after work and unwind with us. So sometimes wine gets a bad rap. Some people in wine can be very snotty and a little pretentious. So I wanted to create the antithesis of that kind of space, something more fun and inviting, and not a place where you're made to feel bad about drinking what you love.
And I think I will attest to the fact that you have accomplished that. And I know that it's only going to get better with time and as people hear more about it. So let's shift gears a little bit and talk about your family, your 2 kids, and tell us a little bit about your husband and your kids and what they like to do and what you like to do with them.
Yeah, so my husband and I have been married for almost 14 years, coming up this year, 14 years. We've been together 18 years. We met when I was in college and he was in the military. He was stationed in Fort Stewart outside of Savannah, Georgia. He's currently in law enforcement. He works for Irving PD. He's amazing. He's the yin to my yang, I guess. So I'm very social. I love talking to people clearly, I guess, based on the business that I'm in. He's a little more introverted and reserved. And our kids kind of mirror each other. So our daughter Arabella is my carbon copy. Basically, it's like looking at myself at 5 years old. So she's a social butterfly. She loves all things princess and unicorns and sparkles and glitter. And she just lights up every room she walks into. And our son is a lot more like his dad. So he's a little more reserved and a little calmer. He loves to build things. Watching how his brain works is fascinating. He can do so many puzzles and things you wouldn't think a 3-year-old should be able to do quite yet. And then once he gets to know you, he opens up, but he is definitely our homebody child. He'd rather be with us than with a lot of people out in public. So.
I think that's amazing. I don't know why I thought my 5 kids would all be fairly similar and have similar personalities and temperaments, but that couldn't be further than the truth. Yeah. However, I think that's what helps us learn to grow and expand as parents, because we have to adapt to each of the unique personalities and temperaments and, characteristics of our kids and how to respond to them individually. So I think that's great that they're so different, right?
Yeah, it's very interesting. My son is easier, I think, because he's very different than my personality. My daughter and I, it's like arguing with myself sometimes, so I'm going to hold on tight for her teenage years, but I love that I'm raising these strong, independent, knowing their minds little people.
That is fantastic. So why don't we talk a little bit and share with our watchers and our listeners about how you're learning to balance or harmonize this, this CLINK Wine Bar Bites and home life. What does that look like?
Yeah. Well, I think sometimes work-life balance, that's a term people throw around, and sometimes there's just not always a lot of balance. So I've been using this analogy that I just have a lot of balls up in the air right now, and some are glass and some are plastic, and they're going to bounce, and that hopefully I keep all of the glass balls going without dropping and shattering, and just that people will give me a little grace as I go through this. So my kids are watching me do this. They come to the wine bar. They've seen mom building this and chasing a dream, and they're so interested in watching us do this. I think they get so much value out of watching their mom really go for something that she wants. So
beautiful. I love it's such a beautiful analogy that you and you're right that the term work-life balance or harmonization is overused and not really possible. I have to agree that I don't think we can have total balance all the time. It's a matter of being intentional with our time and trying to stay conscious about what we're doing in our time and how we're presenting, being present in the moment, in whatever moment that is, whether it's at work and you're, being present there, or at home and staying and being home, there and not thinking about all the other things that could be thought about.
Yeah, I think being engaged, with whatever's going on. So my daughter yesterday, she's learning to cartwheel. So we spent 15 minutes really practicing on her gym mats. Just, it wasn't hours and hours, but it meant so much to her that I was there helping her. So I try to make sure that my kids feel my presence, that I'm really checked in when I'm with them and not try to have my mind running 1,000 other places, but really give them some good time with me.
No, now would that be your best parenting tip? Because one of the things that I did want to talk to you about, and what I do like to share during the show is, some good solid tips for moms.
Yeah. I think, being very intentional with it. I think one of my biggest tips is that your kids don't need perfection. They just need their mom. So trying to be intentional, to be checked in with them and try my best. I think kids don't expect their parents to be perfect. They expect them to be there, to listen to them and to try. We're leading by example. We're showing them it's okay to mess up. It's okay to make mistakes. It's okay to have a bad day. But we still love each other. We still treat each other with kindness, compassion, and respect. And we give each other some grace, right? Mm-hmm. They have some bad days. Mom has some bad days. But I just try to give them what I hope they'll give me back.
I love that. That is wonderful, a wonderful tip. And I would just add to that, trying to spend some one-on-one time with our kids is really important, with having as many kids as I did, and they're 17 years apart from one another. So trying to, and I don't think I did this well when they were little. However, I have been more intentional, like you mentioned, with my time and trying to have that one-on-one time as they've gotten older. So I think that is another really important thing, to be able to develop a personal relationship with each of these kids, especially during their preteen and teen years, which I know you've got just right around the corner. Just kidding.
Yeah, we've got a little ways, but yes, we go on mommy-daughter dates and mom and son dates when we have more time. But each morning when they're not at school ends here real soon, we usually try to spend a few minutes doing things just us. So my daughter gets up before my son, so we spend about 15 minutes snuggling or talking or whatever it is that she wants. That's her time, and my son gets that as well. And it seems to refuel and reset everybody's tank to start the day the right way. If we can do it. Some days harder than others. Life gets in the way. But
Great advice. So let's talk for a minute about encouraging other moms, because I know that when we have the entrepreneurship hat on and the parent hat on, and if there's a mom who hasn't maybe been in the workforce for a long time, or who wants to start a new career, or someone who's looking to, can I open this business while being a mom? Yeah. What thoughts would you give to encourage that mom?
Go for it. Your children watching you chase your dreams, go after something you're passionate about, is probably one of the best lessons I think we can teach our children. Teach them that you can find something that you love to do, that you can be passionate about it, that you can still be a parent, that you can do it. I would say go for it. If you have a dream, you have a drive, the pros of what your kids gain from watching their mom do that, I think is a huge benefit. We're setting them up to also chase their dreams when they grow up. So I would tell any mom looking to go start a business, it's hard work. It's not easy. You're not going to have all the answers. It doesn't mean you need to. You just need to keep putting one foot in front of the other each day, and you'll get there. So go do it.
And I completely and totally agree. Laura, where can people find you and learn more about CLINK?
Sure. On Instagram, our handle is CLINK Wine Bar. You can find us there. And on Facebook, we're at CLINK Wine Bar and Bites.
Thank you so much for joining us for this episode of Becoming Me While Raising You. On behalf of Laura Black and myself, remember, mothers are the emotional barometers in their families. So taking care of you while you build your legacy is not a luxury. It's a necessity. My passion is to help moms create peaceful homes through happier, healthier relationships with their kids. If you're looking for help on your parenting journey, please reach out to me through my website, reallifeparentguide.com. Until next time, namaste.